Why do we always talk about the problems in our economy, but rarely look at what Karl Marx said? Many people feel strange about him, and some even misunderstand his ideas. It's a bit complicated, right? On one hand, Marx is known for his big ideas about systems and how things could be better. But, at the same time, his name often brings up negative thoughts because of how his ideas were used in history. So, how do we make sense of all this?
That's a good question. Marx is famous because he was a strong critic of the economic system we call capitalism. He spent a lot of time thinking about how these systems affect our lives. In our talks, I think we should also explore his key thoughts. It is interesting to look at the world through his eyes and see what he noticed about work and life. Shall we dig into his ideas and see why they might still matter today?
Definitely, we should talk about some of his main ideas. It's funny how so many people know his name, but not really what he talks about. If we take a closer look, he brought up issues that many people still worry about today, like job security and how fair our work systems are. There's a whole world to explore with Marx, but we need to put away the past baggage that comes with his name.
Exactly. The past is important, but it shouldn't stop us from understanding the present or planning the future. We can learn a lot from someone who has looked deep into the problems we face. Marx's insights about how systems affect human relationships or how they make us feel disconnected can open up a lot of conversation. So, we'll explore more about this critic and see what he can teach us about creating a better world.
Karl Marx was born in 1818 in a place called Trier, in Germany. From a young age, he was very interested in politics. He was curious about how the world worked and wanted to make it better. As he grew older, Marx joined a group called the Communist Party. They believed in changing the world to be more fair, especially by ending things like the class system, where some people are very rich and others are very poor.
Yes, and one big idea they had was ending private property. Many people then, and still today, find this idea difficult to imagine. After some time, Marx faced problems due to his political ideas. He had to leave Germany and move to London. In London, he met Friedrich Engels, who became his close friend and partner. They worked together on many writings, sharing their thoughts on capitalism and how society should change.
Living in London allowed Marx to see capitalism up close. Although he was not very rich, he spent time learning about the world around him. He and Engels studied the problems they saw and tried to find answers. They wrote many books and articles, always questioning how fair the economic system was. Marx wanted people to understand the real nature of capitalism instead of just accepting it as it was.
That's right. They tried to show people how the system worked and how it affected everyone. Their writings gave people a new way to look at work and money. It was not just about making a living, but about creating a society where everyone could be happy and feel valued. This idea was very important to Marx. He was not just a critic. He wanted to imagine a better future for everyone, a future without the same old problems.
Engels was very supportive of Marx. Even though Engels came from a wealthy family, he helped Marx a lot. He knew how important their work was, so he provided financial help to Marx, who lived with little money. Their friendship was strong and allowed them to continue their studies and writings. Together, they became some of the biggest critics of capitalism during their time. They wanted to open people's eyes to the unfairness they saw.
Indeed, and even though it sounds negative, they also talked about hope. They believed that by understanding the problems, people could find ways to fix them. Marx believed that change was possible if people saw the truth about society. Through their work, they showed a path to a fairer world, even if it was not easy to achieve. Their writings pushed people to think differently, to imagine a world where everyone had a chance to thrive and be happy.
One of Marx's strong ideas is alienation in work. Alienation happens when people feel their work is not part of who they are. Marx believed that people should feel happy doing their jobs, seeing a part of themselves in what they make. But in today's world, many jobs are so specialized that workers do the same small task every day. This makes it hard for them to feel proud or happy about their work. Instead, they just feel like a tiny part of a big machine, which is not satisfying.
Yes, this feeling creates a gap between who we really are and what we do every day. When work doesn't match our true self, it leads to feeling unhappy and empty. We spend so much time working, but if we feel disconnected from it, it affects our life deeply. People start to question their purpose or what their work is really for. Many wonder if their job is truly meaningful or just something they have to do. This sets the stage for talking about another big issue in work today, which is job insecurity.
Right. Job insecurity is a major problem in our economic system. In many companies, workers are seen as replaceable parts. If a company wants to save money, they might just let workers go. Machines might also take over some jobs. This creates a lot of fear among workers, as they are scared of losing their jobs. The worry of not having a stable job affects people deeply. They feel unsure and anxious about the future, not knowing if they will have a job tomorrow or next month.
Exactly. This fear and anxiety are strong feelings because people want to feel secure and valued. Marx saw communism as a way to respond to this insecurity. It isn't just an economic idea, it's about wishing for a place where we belong, where we are not forgotten. Everyone wants to know they have a role and are important. With job insecurity, people feel left out or invisible. Marx understood this emotional side and thought about how the system should change to make everyone feel included and respected.
In our modern world, job insecurity is a big issue that affects us all. Most of us worry about losing our jobs at some point. Under capitalism, companies often see workers as just parts of the process. This means that if they find a machine that can do our job, they might replace us without much thought. This creates fear and anxiety in our lives, as we never know when we might be out of work.
Exactly. This fear of losing our jobs is more than just about money. It makes us worry about our place in the world. Marx saw communism as more than economics. It was about our emotions, too. The dream was to live in a world where we don't have to fear being forgotten or left out. Before moving on to another point, Marx's ideas on profit inequality come into play here. He thought that the way money is made in capitalism is unfair.
Let's talk about that profit inequality. Marx said that in capitalism, the business owners or capitalists often become very rich, while the workers earn very little. This happens because capitalists try to pay workers as little as possible to make more money. Marx called this primitive accumulation. He thought it was like stealing. The worker creates something valuable, but the owner sells it for much more and keeps most of the money.
For Marx, this was not just a small problem. It was a huge part of what he called economic exploitation. The idea that profit comes from clever ideas or technology is not entirely true, Marx argued. Profit comes from taking more value from workers than they get paid. This system seems unfair, and it causes many problems in society. It makes sense then why Marx believed things needed to change and why people should be aware of how they are involved in this system.
Now, let's dive into what Marx called primitive accumulation. Basically, he felt that in capitalism, workers don't get their fair share. They work hard and create products, but the owners take most of the profit. Think about it this way. You make a cake, but someone else gets to eat it all and only gives you a small piece. That's how Marx viewed profit in capitalism, and he thought it was a type of economic cheating.
Marx saw this as more than just a little unfair. He thought it was a big form of stealing. People often believe profit is the result of clever ideas or new inventions, right? But Marx argued that the profit mainly comes from paying workers less than what their work is worth. This idea of economic theft shows why he believed the system needed change. It just doesn't seem fair for someone to get rich off the hard work of others without giving them their due part.
This leads us to another point Marx made about capitalism. It is not just a system that creates profits, it also brings about repeated crises. He believed that economic crises are not rare, but a normal part of capitalism. The strange thing he noticed is that these crises happen not because we don't make enough, but because we make too much. Factories can produce more things than people need or can afford to buy, which causes the economy to crash.
Yes, and Marx found this contradiction very interesting. On one side, it shows that the economic system itself is flawed. But on the other side, it means we have the ability to provide for everyone. We can produce enough for everyone to have homes, cars, and even education. The problem isn't how much we can make, it's how we share what we have. So why not use this efficiency to help everyone live better instead of leading to job losses and economic troubles.
Today, we're diving into the topic of ideology and how it affects what we believe and value in a capitalist society. It's interesting to see that even people who don't have much money often support ideas that keep the system going. This can include the belief that not having a job makes us less valuable, or that relaxing isn't important unless it's a short break from work.
Yes, and this way of thinking leads people to value things over real connection. Marx called this commodity fetishism. It means we give too much value to objects instead of our feelings or time. Because of this, many relationships become shallow. People start valuing their possessions more than genuine human connections. It's something we need to be aware of so that we can change it for the better.
This change is really important because when people follow these harmful ideas, they end up feeling unhappy and alone. Marx warned that our world gets so focused on making money, we forget to care about things that truly matter, like family, friends, and love. What do you think would happen if we all focused more on being happy and less on having more things?
Well, that's where Marx's idea of a balanced future comes in. In a world with more balanced values, people could spend time on different interests every day. Imagine a life where one day you go fishing, the next you create art, and another day you simply enjoy nature. Having that kind of freedom would make people happier and less stressed. It's a future worth thinking about.
In this episode, we have discussed how Karl Marx saw the problems in capitalism. He showed us how work can make us feel unhappy and insecure. His ideas are still important today because they help us see what needs to change in our economic system. It is necessary to learn about these issues so we can think of better ways for the future. Let's not ignore his diagnosis. It is important to acknowledge the issues he identified.
Thank you for joining us today. Now, let's take action. We must continue to explore Marx's ideas to better understand capitalism. By engaging with these concepts, we raise awareness about the effects of our current system. Don't forget to support our podcast by liking and commenting. Your feedback helps us continue these important discussions. Make sure to subscribe and share this episode with others who want to learn more. See you all next time.